It's championship week. The path to Plymouth concludes this Saturday with the crowning of three new state champions in Michigan high school hockey. We break down everybody's body of work thus far, their resume and what they've put on paper, and more ahead of the Frozen Four, which gets underway Thursday at USA Hockey Arena. Also, wanted to spend a few minutes talking about the tournament thus far. A lot of complaints over the last week and a half or so, and wanted to get you my thoughts on the tournament, some instant feedback. Plus, a 43 to nothing game in the Maha State playoffs. I want to touch on that as well. Guys, look, in a world where literally everyone is out to get in your pockets, it's the most expensive sport in the world. Equipment, ice fees, travel. But then on top of that, you got live barn. Oh, this rink doesn't carry live barn. I got to have Black Bear TV. Oh no, not Black Bear. This isn't a Black Bear rink either. We're bringing in a special video crew. You need My Hockey TV. On top of that, we charge a gate fee to get into the building, and oh, you need an advisor, and that's a whole different can of worms there. Elite prospects, get a premium account, neutral zone, read our stuff behind a paywall. Uh, Everybody, subscriptions, signups, all that, blah, 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 blah. Everyone is out for your money. All of my shit is completely free, 100% free. The website, the podcast, the blog, social media, free. I'd very much like to keep it that way as well. Uh, but in order for me to do that, I need you to hit subscribe on YouTube. Helps me out a ton. Appreciate it very much. So, again, I like it free. You want to keep it free. One of the only things that's free in our hockey space at the moment. So if you appreciate that, hit subscribe for me. Now let's talk some hockey. I mentioned, excuse me, I am very much fighting it. Been an uphill battle the last couple days, but it's playoff time. We're all fighting something, right? Whether it's injuries or illness or whatever. So I mentioned the blowout at the Maha State playoffs. Little Caesars and Belle Tire 14s received a lot of attention and backlash on social media, local news picking it up. Ryan Kessler, the Caesars coach, was on Spittin' Chicklets talking about it. A lot of people want to criticize and ridicule, but I think are completely missing the point here. Caesars played who they were told to play. Belle Tire played who they were told to play. The real problem in all of this lies at the tier one and at the Maha level. 43 to nothing. I'm surprised it wasn't more. Belle Tire at 1-47 on the season is not a AAA team. Bigby at 6-50 at the same age group got beat 8 nothing, 6 nothing, 14 nothing, 12 nothing, and 8 nothing at States. Not a AAA team. This isn't just a problem exclusive to the 2010 birth year. 15s are similar. 16s, VH is 3-51. 18s, CompuWare and Honeybaked have 10 wins apiece, and most of which are against each other. Uh, there are 8 AAA organizations in the state of Michigan, but we don't have enough AAA caliber players in the state to feed that number of teams. So you have AA players and families paying AAA ice bills and fees and being sold this false narrative. So that is the real problem in all of this. Can we take a look in the mirror and do a little bit of a self-assessment here, players, parents, coaches? Um, you know, it- at the tier one age group, at most, there's 5 to 6 AAA ish teams in the state. It's VH at one level, it's Honey Baked at another, whatever. This isn't a war on AAA for me. Don't take it that way by any stretch of the imagination. This isn't AAA versus high school, one or the other. No, like there's absolutely a need for both. And there's a pathway for both to be successful and thrive in this state. But AAA hockey needs a bit of an overhaul here. AAA needs to be for the elite of the elite, the best of the best. Let's assemble 4 to 5 of the best possible AAA teams we can and find a better, more suitable fit for the next 40 to 60 skaters that are kind of on the fringe and being sold that AAA dream with a double A skill set. Because 43 nothing is not real life. A 1 in 47 record is not real life. Could Belle Tire make some changes and be better next year? Sure. And I would expect that to be the case. Uh, but only at the expense of taking players away from a CompuWare or a Honey Baked or something like that. We just don't have the resources in this state to support that many tier one teams. That's kind of the point I'm illustrating here in all of this. So, all right, that was enough on the AAA circuit. I know I don't spend a lot of time on that on the pod, but obviously that was a big newsworthy uh, thing over the last week or so that's been making the rounds, not just locally but nationally and whatnot. So we can stick with playoff talk, but just shift gears here a little bit towards the high school hockey circuit. Obviously, a lot of complaints on social media throughout the duration of the MHSAA state playoffs. People outraged over the Heartland CC regional final matchup, and rightfully so. A lot of people outraged over officiating. A lot of people clamoring for change to the system overall as a whole. And I just wanted to say, a couple things is this isn't the first travesty of the tournament. When an early round matchup should have been played in the later rounds. It's received a lot of attention this year in particular because of the parties involved. I think Heartland, a notable hotbed with a strong hockey community, and then CC, basically the biggest brand, so to speak, in the MHSAA. But honestly, this happens almost yearly, people. Look at 2024. You had number 4 Heartland playing number 8 Clarkston in a Division 1 regional final. Same year, number 5 Houghton had to dispel number 16 Hancock in a D3 regional final. You go back to 2023, Heartland and Clarkston, again, 2 top 10 teams clashing and having to eliminate one of them at the regional final level 2 years in a row. 2022, number 7 Orchard Lake and number 9 Cranbrook, a regional final. And, private school, I'm sure there's a lot of detractors out there. Private schools, who cares? Uh, and many of you still might not care, but that's 2 top 10 teams that are eliminated before the state final rounds. Same year, 2022, number 6 Flint Powers, number 10 eventual state champion Midland Dow. 2 state title contenders there, one out of the equation halfway through the tournament. 2021, number 5 Stevenson, number 14 Novi. Same year, number 4 Calumet, number 8 Houghton. This is just the tip of the iceberg, people. I'm only scratching the surface with the last few years. I've been around since 2012, and the embarrassment is annual. I can assure you. There's dozens of other coaches that predate me too, and will all verify and say the exact same thing. The travesty of way too good at teams being eliminated way too early because of the system is nothing new. The only thing that's new is that it was Heartland and CC this year and not uh, Clarkston or Cranbrook or Stevenson or Houghton or Flint Powers or Midland Dow or some other team throughout the state. It happens every single year. And now you may ask, well, Petey, how does it keep happening then? Why don't we fix it? It's because the people who got screwed by the system this year will be gone by next year, and the cycle will just continue. Uh, have there been marginal improvements made over a very extended period of time? Yes. MPR, although I don't personally love it, is an upgrade from nothing. Ranking the entire region is an improvement from simply separating the top 2 teams in each region and putting them on opposite sides of the bracket, which was a marginal improvement from just drawing names out of a hat and flipping a coin to determine matchups. Changes have been made. It's gotten better, but there was really only one way to go. And it could only get better because it was the worst. Um, but more changes are needed, and we have to be willing to adapt because if the system doesn't change, the people will. And what I mean by that is, MHSAA will tell you academics are first and it's a school sport. And I get it, 100%. Get that to a fault. But in the same breath, homeschooling has been on the rise since COVID. Club sports are on the rise, more so now than ever. AAU, travel. Look at IMG Academy and how many of these types of academies and schools have popped up across the country. I'm talking more big picture sports landscape here is changing drastically. But if high school sports don't adapt with the times, it could very quickly become a thing of the past with outdated practices. So, um, for those of us in the hockey community who want to improve it and want to improve the tournament and want to improve our game and things like that, we're not looking for 70 plus game counts. We're not looking to play 50, 60, 70 games a year or unrestricted transfers or statewide school of choice or unlimited travel restrictions. Yeah. Yeah. Granville wants to hop on a flight and go out to California for a tournament. Like, no, we're not looking for that. We literally just want a tournament to be more competitive and fair for all. Uh, on that note, let me tease this for next week's episode a little bit because I don't like people who bring up problems with no solutions. Yeah, I pointed out a lot of the tournament's flaws and what needs to be fixed. Well, next week's episode, I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna fix the MHSAA tournament for everybody who's been complaining the last couple weeks or even the couple months, knowing the writing was on the wall with Heartland and CC, and obviously these other matchups from the past. I put some work in. I've come at this from a lot of different ways. I think this works for them, meaning the MHSAA. I think it works for us, meaning the hockey community, the coaches, the players, the families that want to see a tournament that rewards everybody in a positive way. So uh, it's extremely thought out, very thorough, tons of visuals as well, so you can follow along. And I'm not sure anyone can argue it. I'll challenge you, but truly, stay tuned for that. Um, turn your notifications on, hit subscribe so you don't miss it. More to come on that next week after the tournament has concluded. So, speaking of, let me take a minute here because I am losing my voice quickly. There we go. Play catch up here a little bit. Speaking of people calling out problems without being part of the solution here, complaining about officials and bad calls is the biggest waste of time and energy and oxygen. Were there some bad calls? Did some teams get a raw deal? Yeah, they absolutely did. And that sucks. Okay. I also understand, coaches got to fight for their guys. I can absolutely appreciate that and definitely understand that. I don't fault coaches one bit for grasping at any straws or holding out hope for any solution with when a no goal, for instance, gets called a goal or whatever transpires from there. So I totally get all of that. No issue on my front. But for the parents or the people on social media that want to rake officials over the coals, that want to nitpick and super slow mo analyze grainy cell phone footage or live burn feeds and say, see, how could he miss that call? This guy should be fired. What the hell, right? Like, okay, great. You want to know what's worse than the worst official in the state is no official at all. Like, I don't care how bad the ref is. And there's some bad ones like that are on my shit list, especially. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'd take every single one of them over the alternative because if we chase these bad refs out of the game, we won't have anyone left to drop the puck here. They're human. They make mistakes, just like you and me. They make a bad call, just like a coach on a bench mismanages the game and puts his third line out there against the opponent's top line. Refs make a bad call, no different than little Jimmy airmailing one over the net on a breakaway. So just shut up. Just shut up about the officials, man. Like, yes, some people got a raw deal, some people got screwed. You know what? Anyone watch the Stadium Series on Saturday? Same thing happened to the Wings. There's no complaining about officiating to me is just a waste of time and energy. And right now in my current state, I don't have the energy to do that. So I'm a little spicy today. Been sick, like I said, salty, coming out guns a blazing on the podcast today. So don't come at me. You might be next. I don't know. All right, let's have a little fun now, right? Frozen 4 is on the horizon. Division 2 starts tomorrow with semifinal matchups. Let's get into that a little bit, shall we? Let me take a minute here, catch my breath, limping through this episode of the podcast. And if I sound absolutely awful, if you're in the car listening, I apologize. If you're watching on YouTube, I still look pretty miserable on the heels of this weekend and my sickness, but nonetheless, here we are. Okay. I did see a great quote on Twitter this week. A former Michigan high school hockey player. He said, I never wanted to make it to the NHL. I just wanted to make it to Plymouth. And I just thought that quote was so awesome and so impactful because uh, there's a lot of people who play high school hockey that do go on to play in higher levels of hockey, that do play college hockey, that have won national championships, that have gone on to the NHL, that have won Stanley Cups, and things like that. But at your core, and I think if you ask any of these guys who have played at a high level, some of their fondest memories are youth hockey, their youth hockey days. And I think that holds true here at the high school level and playing on the biggest stage we have at Plymouth. D2 gets underway tomorrow, D1 and D3 on Friday. If you've never been, I'd strongly encourage you to attend a game. Doesn't You don't have to stay for the whole day or anything like that, but go and see a game and experience the atmosphere. If you're a coach and you've got a couple young guys maybe that can make up your core group for the next 2 or 3 years, take them. I heard of a couple coaches doing this the last few years. And I think it's so important, expose them to that atmosphere, show them what it takes and what it looks like to reach that plateau, a packed building, student sections of 300 plus, the lights, the warm-ups, the spectacle of it all. Take them and let them take it all in. Because if you do ever reach that stage, it can be incredibly intimidating for the first time. I remember my first time. Every time feels like the first time in a way. But if you ever reach that mountaintop, you want to be in a position to put your best foot forward and not be starstruck by the moment. So some of these teams have been there before. It's just another trip. It's another business trip for them. And those tend to be the ones who succeed at this level at the tournament. But others are making history this weekend as well and heading to USA Hockey Arena for the first time ever. Pioneers with hopes of continuing that conquest. So I've got 12 teams across all three divisions, and we'll check them out one by one, their bodies of work, standout performers, and just how exactly they got to be in the Frozen Four this weekend. Why don't I? What do I got to do first? I'll do this first. Okay, we got that. We'll go split screen here. And I think we're ready to roll. There we go. First team up here, Granville. Members of the OKC in West Michigan, ranked 18th in the state. 23 wins this season, 19 in the regular season. That's the most by the program since 17-18. Uh, opened up the 24-25 season. Shoot, I missed my notes here. I deleted something. Opened up the 24-25 season on a lengthy win streak. I'll leave it at that. 11 shutouts this season, 3 of them coming during the Bulldogs playoff run. Goalie Aiden Karras has been in goal for 8 of those blankings. Dynamic forward here, Bennett Eisma is second on the team with 14 goals and 41 points, behind 3-year junior and impact forward Landon Smith. He has 23 goals and 47 points. You also got Louis Gardine here, anchors the team's defensive effort, a towering presence who skates well and moves pucks. This Granville team has been solid in the D zone basically all season long. It's been the strength of this team to get them here to this point, and will once again need to be the narrative if the Bulldogs are to advance to the state title game. History maybe not in their favor, as Granville's been eliminated in the semifinal round in 4 of its past 5 trips to Plymouth. But hey, at the very least, some really great hockey hair there. How about that flow, boys? Looking sharp with that lettuce. Love it. Okay, we'll keep moving along here. Is my next team gonna pop up for me? There we go. Livonia Stevenson, one of 3 KLAA teams to reach the Frozen Four in their respective playoff divisions this season. Spartans have won their 3rd straight regional championship. That's their 9th in the last 11 seasons. Yet Stevenson, this is Stevenson's first trip to Plymouth since 2016. When there was a guy named Craig Peterson, who was a pretty low-level puck pusher on that staff, but played a pretty big hand in getting them there back in 2016. Now, um, Stevenson has an 8-4 record this season against top 25 teams. Rattled off an 11-game unbeaten streak in the first half of the season. Despite having won 23 games, the team only holds an average margin of victory of less than 1 goal per game, 0.71 to be exact. Kind of crazy when you think about that. They score in bunches, though, are susceptible to giving up offense as well. I've talked about that at length throughout the season. Just 1-7-1 when held to 2 goals scored or fewer this season. Low scoring games have not treated the Spartans well this season. Can anyone in the D2 field hold these top producers down, though? That's going to be the question. Leading scorer Owen Hall has 9 points in 3 postseason games alone. Forward Connor Buchanan does too. They even get great production from the back end as well, with contributions from Colin Strobel. And then I believe Dawson Wallace actually scored the game winner for them over RU to send them to the Frozen Four. So come on, why are you bouncing around on me? There we go. Okay, Brother Rice in the Frozen Four for the 8th time in 9 seasons. The boogeyman of the bracket, I've called them for this season. Rice is hot at the right time yet again this season. Seems to always happen for the Warriors. Winning 8 of its 13 games in the last 5 weeks of the season. They are the one team I do not want to play right now, especially considering their history at this stage of the tournament. I mentioned it's their 8th appearance in 9 seasons. They've won the state title in 4 of those previous appearances, an 11-4 record at USA Hockey Arena dating back to 2011. How about that? Leading scorer Roman Valaire is on an absolute heater, playing his best hockey, carrying a 5-game point streak into Plymouth in points in 10 of the last 11 for Rice. Cam George, still one of my favorite defensemen in the state. He's eclipsed the 20-point mark and quietly has 10 points in the team's last 10 games as well. And Zach Stalegrave here is a great work hard effort guy. Those are the types of players that put you over the top in these final rounds of the tournament. Everyone has skill, everyone has speed, not everyone has grit and sandpaper. Stalegrave certainly brings that here for Rice. Whew. We are limping through here. All right, here we go. Let's see. There we go. Up next, and last but not least, obviously, Flint Powers, your odds-on favorite, and my pre-tournament pick to win it all 2 weeks ago. The 6th-ranked team overall in the state, making their 3rd Frozen Four appearance in the last 5 seasons. 2 years removed from their Division III state championship. So Coach Travis Perry looks to win the program's first at the D2 level now. Your SVL league champion for, I believe, the 4th or 5th season in a row now, too, as well. At one point, had won 14 of 15 games this season. They have arguably the best player in the state in Aiden Cook. Debatable, but absolutely in the conversation. He has 70 points in 27 games this season, including a 5-point performance in the Chargers come from behind overtime win over Marquette last week. 5-4, obviously, he factored in on all of those goals that advanced Powers to this round of the playoffs. You got Owen Perry, 62 points as a freshman. And in the spirit of making up stats, I'll say that's the unofficially the most by a freshman in the modern era. People, you are welcome to fact check me and correct me on that if you like. Andrew Parmentier, Parker Bendall, Landon Miller, Brody Nealons. This team has 11 skaters in double figures for points and 5 that are north of 40 points apiece. So pretty impressive here, and obviously your front runner in Division Two. We'll move on to Division Three here and take a look at Alpena, one of 3 programs in the state to have an active streak of 5 or more consecutive regional championships. Despite that, though, this is the first time since 2007 that the Wildcats have reached Plymouth, and the program has not won a state title since 1993. Uh, at 28th in the state, they are the second lowest ranked team among the 12 at USA Hockey Arena this weekend and have just a 2-4-0 record against top 25 teams this season. Despite all that, they've been a mainstay in my top 25 on pdspicks.com, wire to wire this season, start to finish. Winners of 7 of the last 9. The dynamic duo of Gavin Winterstein and Garrett Hamp has carried this group through much of the season and much of the last couple of years. They've anchored the program, combining for 46 of the team's 103 goals this season. Hamp is a big forward, big power forward type, and a knack for finishing, as evidenced obviously by his team leading 29 goals. Winterstein, very versatile, having spent significant time this season playing forward and D for the Wildcats there. You got Clark Weir, Ethan Walker, Lucas Weir, Brody Misiak, all pivotal in this team's success as well. It's not the deepest bunch at Plymouth, but a scrappy one with enough firepower that I think they could put a scare just into just about anyone here in D3. We'll move on here to we got Jeffers up next, the Cinderella of the tournament. When you look at the teams here in Plymouth, this playoff run has been years in the making, and it's great to see it kind of come to fruition for this senior laden group. It's been a historic season of firsts for Jeffers, monumental wins over Great Lakes Conference and UP rivals like Calumet and Hancock, Marquette, Houghton, 24-4 this season, and they haven't lost a game by more than 2 goals. They're a high flying, freelancing, creative offense that's dynamic and just fun to watch. A lot of weapons that are dangerous and can produce against just about anyone. Uh, may prove to be the most fun team to watch at USA Hockey Arena this weekend, averaging 6.12 goals scored per game. You got senior Britt Heinonen leads the way with 46 goals and 74 points. His running mates, Benton Rahala, Cody Turner, also help highlight a 6-man senior class that's taken the Jets from 95th in the state 4 years ago to now 11th this winter. Pretty incredible run here for the Jets. Next up, we got Cranbrook. I said since day one of the season, the road to a D3 state title goes through Cranbrook. Last year's championship run was a huge surprise to many. Came out of nowhere, a team that clicked at the right time and essentially shocked the world. Some may have thought it was a flash in the pan, but there's a lot of carryover from last year's title team. The 7th-ranked team in the state looks to remain the champ, would very much like to keep it that way, with key returners from that title team and Nick Timko, Blake Tice, Lorenzo DeSalvo, or Gianluca DeSalvo, excuse me. I'm all over the place here. Gianluca DeSalvo, my bad. This team is strong in net with one of the lowest goals against averages in the state with a team GAA of 1.95. They're strong down the middle. I mentioned DeSalvo. I mentioned Timko. Fantastic, responsible, sound center play down the middle of the ice. They don't make mistakes. Can they be beaten? Yes. But it's going to take a perfect effort from one of these three other teams. And you'll have to significantly limit your own mistakes in the process as well. This program has a rich history of not just making it to the Frozen Four, but finishing when they get there too. Uh, 9 state titles in their last 11 appearances in this round of the tournament. That's incredible. Uh, okay, here we go. We'll keep moving. We wrap up with Orchard Lake St. Mary's, maybe your odds-on favorite to win in Division Three, ranked fourth in the state overall. Coach Brian Clano's squad has put together the program's first 20-win season since the 17-18 season. And as much of a blue blood as the Eaglets are in high school hockey, they haven't won an outright title since 2007. This season's group may have the best shot at snapping that drought, considering Will Keene is one of the best goalies in the state. And Orchard Lake's depth is just unmatched, I think, in Division Three. Thad Rainish, the team's leading scorer, has 40 points this season, but 10 other skaters are in double figures as well. Uh, Julian Johnston may be one of their more impactful forwards in the lineup, influencing the game in all three zones from the center position too. But they will come at you wave after wave after wave of consistent energy and skill with 4 lines, all capable of scoring here. So, all right, let me take a drink. We'll move on to D1. We'll wrap things up. Playing through the pain here, boys, if you can't tell. Okay, moving on to Division One. We'll start things off with Sparta, ranked 41st in the state overall. They are the lowest ranked team remaining in action, uh, making the program's first ever Frozen Four appearance. Historic run here for Sparta. The Spartans will take on Detroit Catholic Central in their semifinal matchup, which is less than encouraging, especially considering Sparta dropped a 2-1 game to CC's B team earlier this season. But despite that doom and gloom, the Sparta team does have shades of like Jeffers or something similar there, right? Where, I was talking about a tight knit group, a core of players that have been together for a long period of time, a senior heavy group making one final push to end their careers. This playoff run has been a long time coming for Sparta as well. It's a talented bunch. I've been saying it for a year and a half now. Caden Gleason leads the team in scoring with 46 points. Tanner Guara, Trevor Serba. This top line for the Spartans has been exposed to high level hockey, played with top level competition, the MHAs and the MDHLs of the fall hockey circuit. Sparta's top guys have been right there. Uh, a lot of teams have drawn bad matchups with CC at this round of the playoffs. I don't see this one being as lopsided as some of those other ones we've seen in recent memory. So, okay, we'll move on here to Salem, a second D1 team making its first Frozen Four appearance in program history. This one a bit more surprising, I think, just because Salem has a deeper history. Sparta has only been around for 2 or 3, maybe 4 years, whereas Salem has been around pretty extensive history, at least 20 years, I think. But nonetheless, after 5 previous regional championships in the last decade, the Rocks finally break through and draw a semifinal matchup against a KLAA opponent that they've already proved to beat this season in Hotwool. Leading scorer Nolan Kaminsky scored 3 goals in that game. He has 35 this season, including 6 in the playoffs, and 4 in the Rocks' 7-4 win over Brighton to get them to Plymouth. So he's nearly impossible to contain at this level. Dom Chappett led the team in points during the regular season. He's been a fantastic playmaking running mate for Kaminsky. He has 69 points this season and carries a 9-game point streak into the Frozen Four. And then for a team to have continued success in the final two rounds, they'll need to be sound defensively as well. That starts and ends with Cam Eichner on the back end for me. He's a good sized kid with a big impact from the blue line, no doubt. So, God, you guys got to be laughing at me. This is ridiculous. Fighting through the last couple minutes here. We're wrapping things up. Don't worry. You won't have to listen to me for much longer. Okay, two more teams to go. Howell here, the second highest ranked team remaining in action in Plymouth. Howell has won 9 of its last 10, and its 13 wins over top 25 teams is tied for the most by any team in the state this season. Goalie Henry Lansky has been between the pipes for all of those top 25 games and maintains a 1.39 goals against average and a 0.945 save percentage this season. In 3 playoff games, Howell has allowed just 1 goal against, too, and that came at the hands of Clarkston in a 2-1 win that got them here. So, in fact, the only team to score more than 3 goals on Howell this season was Salem. All 27 other opponents were held to 3 goals or less. Uh, not only are they sound defensively, but the Howell offense, led primarily by Rory Sturos and Chad Patilla, is dynamic, diverse, creative, and still being structured, all rolled into one. It's amazing to watch their power play flow and move. It really is a thing of beauty. Lots of different weapons and sources of offense. This Highlander team can strike from anywhere, and we talked a lot about CC kind of clearing a bit major hurdle. Uh, excuse me. We talked about CC clearing that major hurdle in Heartland. Howell still serves as a very significant roadblock should they meet in a potential state final matchup. Okay. Last but certainly not least, the top ranked team in the state for the 4th straight season. Detroit Catholic Central looks to become the first program in state history to win 6 consecutive hockey state championships. Opened the season on a 20-game win streak. The Shamrocks' 33 goals against were the fewest in the state, just smothering opponents and allowing just 14.24 shots on goal per game. That is incredible. Uh, Peter Sainin could make a case to be the best forward in the state. Justin Bloink could make a case to be the best defenseman in the state. You got Reese Hemme, Tyler O'Brien, Sam Wolak, Nino Sui, Nick Leiter. The weapons at CC's disposal are never ending here. They survived their biggest hurdle with the 2-1 win, overtime win over the number 2 team in the state in Heartland. It won't be smooth sailing, but a 6th consecutive championship is absolutely theirs for the taking. All they've got to do is finish the job here. So, all right, let me come back to center here. Whoops, almost there. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Sheesh. I also didn't make mention of, I got my championship red on, channeling Tiger Woods this week. Sunday red, championship red. Figured I'd sport red for the podcast. I got the playoff beard going for the boys. Days are numbered here, though. Clock's ticking on Saturday, so this is actually coming in pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it this year. Looking pretty solid. I'll take it. A little playoff beard action there, too. Okay. That was it. State finals this weekend. We crown 3 new state champions who will etch their places in history. How about that? Good luck to all of those remaining in the hunt. Hit that subscribe button on your way out, too, if you don't mind. Skate hard. Have fun. You see me at the rink this weekend, say hey. I'll still be sporting the playoff beard till then.